Kia ora koutou katoa, ko JonReed taku ingoa. Welcome to this edition of Water New Zealand's podcast series, Tāwara o Te Wai. I'm JonReed from Water New Zealand. Today we're going to talk to some of our award winners from the recent Water New Zealand conference. We're joined by Roanna Purcaru from GHD and Jared Esaiah from CityCare. Roanna won the Young Water Professional of the Year award at the conference this year. She works as an engineering consultant in Three Waters and is a service line leader at GHD for integrated water management. She also leads the GHD in the Community programme and volunteers as a committee member of Water New Zealand's Stormwater Interest Group. Jared won the Water Trainee of the Year award at the conference. He only recently joined the water industry and has been working for CityCare for the last 3 years. He focuses mostly on stormwater, but as an operator gets to work across different field teams across all 3 waters. Thanks for joining us today. Emily, over to you.
Kia ora. Well, firstly, congratulations to you both. So you've both received awards at the last Water NZ conference. Could you tell us a bit about yourselves and why you received those awards? Maybe Roanna, you go first.
Kia ora. Ko Roanna Purcaru, tōku ingoa. I was originally from the Philippines. I was raised in Saudi Arabia. My parents were overseas Filipino workers, and we, as a family, first moved to Aotearoa, New Zealand in 2007. And currently, home for me is Otautahi Christchurch. I say that the water body I associated with is the Otakaro Avon River, because when my husband and I first moved to Christchurch, we didn't have a community, but being able to live and play next to the river gave us a joy as we settled down in this new home of ours. As far as my education and careers, I'm a civil engineer by training. I studied at University of Auckland and UC Berkeley, and I also received my MBA from Purdue University Global. And I felt very honored and humbled for being given the Young Water Professional of the Year award. And why I received the award was probably because my strong, purpose-driven approach to my career as a water professional became evident to the judges. I have what I call a threefold purpose. And if it's okay, I'd love to share those with you. So those 3 are: first, I aim to promote equitable access to clean water for all. Secondly, I believe in protecting the environment, so prioritizing the well-being of water first. And third, of course, to show kindness in everything that we do so that the people I work with, they feel valued, they feel that they belong. And by doing this, we maintain their passion for work in the water industry.
Tāwara, thanks for that, Roanna. Jared, what about yourself?
Kia ora, my name's Jared. I've only been in this industry for like 3 years. Completed my bookwork, my Connexus, and that within a year and a half. I seem to enjoy it, and I just seem to keep pushing myself to strive and keep learning as I go, to the point where I was leading the crews and training people as well as learning on the go. And I think the judges said when I received it, they liked my commitment to the industry and to my workplace, CityCare.
And I think it's a cool place to remind everyone we need so many different people in the water sector. We know we're short on people, and there's this massive spectrum of work. So what does it mean for you to win this award? I think, Roanna, you've spoken to some of it around your 3 kind of commitments to the water sector, but is there anything else you wanted to share on what you're trying to represent or celebrate here?
Yes, well, firstly, that diversity. So yes, Jared, I really admire people like yourself as well. So we're all different and we have a role to play in the industry. So I think that to me was very important. I'm an immigrant to New Zealand, and while I knew that I could excel in this country, I didn't expect that would be to a point of being recognized as award winning. So that's really one thing that I celebrate is New Zealand's culture of celebrating and embracing people like me and allowing us to share our voice as well. The other thing would be around the things that I value, those threefold purpose that I shared, those being resonating to the judges and the industry. This is such a validation that made me very happy. So it's not just me who cared about those things, but also the industry. So winning this award has given me a stronger sense of belonging to New Zealand and an even stronger motivation to fulfill my duties here as a water professional.
Kia ora. Well, Jared, you spoke that the judges highlighted your commitment to the sector, and you're only 3 years in, so there's a long
Yeah.
road to go. What does this mean for you to win the award?
It means a lot. It means that I'm on the right path. It means what I've been doing is shining bright. I suppose you could say it's getting noticed, and it means something. Also, like what Roanna said, one of her three things was protecting the waterways, which is something that I value as well. And that's what it means to me. And I just want to keep going, maybe get some more qualifications, and it's just talking to her is like a big insight to other paths and other avenues, and there's other ways you can go with it.
Thanks for that, both of you. Very interesting just to hear, can start to hear some of the passion coming out from you for the water industry that all of us here love. Why have you developed that passion? What really drives you in your roles? Maybe kick off with Jared first and see, be great to hear a bit more about what's, over 3 years, why has it clicked for you?
Not really knowing it because I'm like 42. I didn't really know and always had like sort of end jobs, but after being in, I think I can look back and think, well, I've always had a connection with beaches and waterways and loved sea turtles from my Cook Island background and stuff like that, and just always been brought up around waterways, and then coming into the industry and sort of opening my eyes to how we protect the waterways and what we go about it and how we do things. And I've seemed to think it's always been there. I just didn't know how to get to it. And then once I'm in it, and it's just fuels the fire, I think. And I start thinking, I think I was like this the whole time. I just didn't know where to put it,
Yeah, and it's interesting, isn't it? Like Emily was saying, we need so many more people like yourself who want to have that passion in the operations side of our industry. I don't know if you've got any ideas about how we might try and grow that and use it more.
Yeah, I do actually. I was talking with workmates earlier, and it stemmed across the question of where we think the water industry is going, but we also went to where we think it should be going, and we thought that it should be going to try and make it seen more as a trade, and maybe change the title so that it looks more like a trade, and then it appeals to more people and younger people, and then also have a bit more of an online presence and show what we're doing and things like that.
I really want to tautoko what, Jared, you're sharing there around elevating the mana of the role of operators as it's perceived externally. And I think your thought of elevating it in the trade sector feels really meaningful, because the need we have for the sector is not just to wait for young operators, young professionals to come through. We want to try and entice them into the sector, even as adults from other trades, from other areas. So I think it's a really neat way to celebrate. You're saying you've come into the sector as an adult from other areas. We want more of that. So to see it celebrated, I just wanted to support that idea of elevating the significance of the role, the meaningful nature and the influence it has in health and well-being can't be overlooked. And it is a skilled trade as well.
Just to add to that, I'll say it again, but it was also brought up for like water technicians, for example. They work on big water mains, and if something goes wrong, like the whole street's out, you burst, the whole road's down, like the big major consequences happen on our side, as opposed to like a plumber that works on small pipes and just deals with one property, but yet they're looked at more of a trade than we are, and they probably get paid a lot more than us, where it probably should be the other way around when you think about the consequences and what's involved in the roles.
Great point, Jared. Roanna, do you want to just share a little bit more about your passion? What's brought that out for you in the water industry?
Yes, definitely. Not everyone has access to water the same way as we do. And I feel like I have a sense of calling, knowing that there's a lot more to do and there's a lot we can do to serve people in that sense. I lived in a place when I was growing up, I lived in a place where we didn't always have running water, and we had to save water. And at the time, it just felt like this is the way to live, right? Water disappears for a long time, we save it, and then we use what we have. And even today, that's applicable. But I feel like I have a role to play. And what I've realized is I'm happiest when I work on projects where I know that they're delivering lasting community benefit. There was a time during my university days where I was active with Engineers Without Borders. And I think I've been conditioned to prioritize partnerships before projects. And that's always been a very important, I guess, core concept for me, how the project has a tendency to succeed more if we're actually involving the community and they're involved in the process. The other time that this became evident that I actually enjoy what I do is through the assignment in the Cook Islands. So Jared, I actually really enjoyed that time in the Cook Islands as well. When I was a volunteer water engineer through volunteer service abroad, that was a dream come true. Being able to connect with communities locally and understand the current water supply and brainstorming and coming up with ways to improve the systems. And to me, it feels like one project experience always leads to another project experience, because when I work in Arizona in the USA, there was also a project where I was involved in where it involved remote communities in a different environment this time, but it also involved that consultation and communication, connection with multiple groups so that we can come up with these solutions. So I think those experiences really touched me in a way. There was no going back. People need help, and I realized that we have a small part in the solution, and we need to work together to achieve the outcomes that we're trying to achieve.
Roanna, that's really interesting to hear about the experiences you've had around the world globally with volunteer work. And what I'm hearing is that it's in connecting with community, you're quite often connecting with actually what's happening on the ground, the operations piece, which I think is a nice segue into some more insights from yourself, Jared, because I feel like, and this might be a bias that I sit in a design experience space, but it feels like operations are often overlooked. And I think you've raised that a little bit in terms of how we elevate the profession. So do you have any more thoughts on how we can bring the operational experience into the way we deliver? Because some of the pieces I've heard from you, before this is around problem solving, thinking on the fly, and then leaning into Roanna's conversations around partnerships. How do you think we can bring this operational role more to the fore in the profession, in the sector?
I think I said earlier, maybe social media presence as a medium. And so when you're actually there in the field, they have a fair understanding before. And then it's something that's easily, and some more information, and that's easily accessible for the public without being so mysterious. I think people are really into their transparency these days, and they lead into that a lot. So if we can play on that, I think we can get on the front foot there and build connections that way, as well as face to face.
So it's kind of the element of storytelling each of our roles. We can kind of do it from just an idea through design, construction, and then that operations and delivery piece. So maybe the storytelling using the power of media to show what the numerous number of professionals in the water sector do, and elevate some of the pieces that are perhaps hidden from plain sights sometimes. Roanna, do you have any thoughts in this regard as well?
To me, I really see the value of making sure that the team that are on the ground are really involved in the process, because this is very first principle in those community-led solutions. And if I just reflect back on the work that I've done when I was volunteering and working for remote communities, the ultimate stakeholders are the people who will operate and maintain and will be serviced by these assets. So for me, it's always been, maybe it's groundbreaking to some people to think, oh, we got to consult the operations team. But to me, we always need to consult the operations team. So I feel like there's a lot more that we could do, as you say, with that storytelling and to make it mainstream.
And I think it applies with scale. It's easier to connect with it conceptually if you're working in a smaller community, but as we scale up into larger supplies, it's no less important, but it does mean perhaps being a bit more intentional in connecting with operations teams and reflecting on how whatever is designed and built will be operated for the security of the supplier, but also the safety of the operators and the ability to have succession planning moving forward, et cetera, so we can keep our water systems functioning. Kia ora.
Now, we sometimes say that the only constant is change, and there's been a lot of change in the water industry over the last few years. It'd be really interesting to hear from both of you. What do you think the future of the water industry is from your perspective? What are you seeing changing, and what's going to change for the good?
I agree that we would need to be more innovative and cost conscious and creative. We need to achieve more for less. But I think with this, we also need to come up with bold choices or make those bold choices. We don't need to get everything perfect before we trial them, for example. Yeah, of course, there are some non-negotiables like don't do anything that will contaminate people's water or make people sick. So these are non-negotiables, public health and safety. But there are always ways that we can reconsider the way we deliver, in my opinion. Like, for example, clearly defining what risks are acceptable, what risks are not, understanding that balance between what's perfect versus what's functional, because even imperfect, as long as they're functional, those types of assets can still deliver value. So that's one thought that I think should be very important for the future of our water industry here. And secondly, perhaps more linked to my optimistic view of the world, I hope for a future in New Zealand where the management of water resources really brings in a holistic view. So recognizing that all water, even if it's wastewater or stormwater, not just potable water, it actually has value as well. And that integrated water management approach shifting from like what we do, like we try to manage things, but actually we should focus on what the outcomes are. So we put an outcomes view to it. As a global industry, we know that the world has shifted from just focusing on the supply of water to meeting environmental standards. Now it's actually that working together to achieve outcomes, working with various disciplines and sectors. Because if we think this way, it's not just going to be about minimizing the impact to the environment. It may even become regenerating, making things even better or making things fairer.
Reflecting back to the water conference, one of my observations links to Roanna, your conversation around the holism, and in my case, connecting strongly with an Indigenous view on water and how we view it as a connected system as a whole. So no matter what part of the water network or the water cycle we're working on, we know ultimately it connects back to your sea turtles, Jared, to our moana, to our rivers, whether or not we're looking at pipe infrastructure. So I think my question for both of you, my take home from the conference was around the power of Indigenous knowledge in water systems, but also the need to demonstrate security as a sector in career progression so that we can attract people into roles and for them to stay in the sector in Aotearoa. Do you have any reflections related to the future of the industry beyond what you've shared as your aspirations that kind of came out of the conference or your more recent experiences? Jared, asking you first.
Just thinking back to the conference also, and connecting with the local iwis and then talking with them and consulting with them a lot. And I sat in those, and then hearing Roanna talk about the same thing is like, I find that interesting because that's sort of a bit far from what I do because I'm just maintenance, and my level of that is just maybe talking with a homeowner or it's at the back of his property or something, But yes, I got that from the expo as well.
Awesome. And yourself, Roanna?
Yeah, building on what Jared is saying, for me, it was seeing so many people because it's the International Water Association conference as well. So I attended the dinner, and there's a lot of people. It's just a lot bigger, and so that to me just emphasized the importance of collaboration and seeing this as an opportunity. How so many people came to New Zealand for this event, and so it opened up many doors for us to talk to those individuals as well that are not from here or not working from here currently. So yeah, to me that was one of the key takeaways, and with that as well. So I've help facilitate a site visit. And the site visit that we went to was here in Christchurch, the Waitaki Street project. It was one of the OARC, so Otakado Avon River Corridor Floodplain Management projects. And it was I describe it as multi-purpose because it's actually one of the things that make me happy as well with the water industry is we get to build these multi-purpose assets like the stormwater treatment facilities. They double as park features. People get to enjoy those facilities and help them feel closer to nature. Stop banks that are designed to be part of a network of cycleways. So again, it influences the positive well-being of our communities. So yes, so to me, if I could describe that key takeaway from this past conference, it would be the collaboration and the opportunities that opened up for us here in New Zealand.
Thank you, Roanna and Jared, for joining Emily and myself today. It was great to talk to you both about your thoughts for the future of the New Zealand water industry. And again, many congratulations on your awards. Thank you for listening to this latest episode. This wraps up our podcast for 2025. We hope you have a good rest over the Christmas break and come back refreshed to contribute to the New Zealand water industry in 2026.